everybody's dealing with the same algorithm. Every single person is playing into the same thing that they don't control, that they're not in charge of, that they don't get to make the decisions on what works and what doesn't. And so one week your vlog style content might work, and the next week that exact same video doesn't work. One week you speaking into the camera might work, the next week it doesn't. So if you're doing everything just to try and appeal to the algorithm, you're gonna just get lost.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Sounder. And Sounder is the podcast host that I wish I had when I started my show. Because when you sign up for Sounder Plus, their premium offering, which is only $12.99 a month, you unlock so many incredible features. Let's just go through their website and see what's included with Sounder Plus. So you get unlimited podcasts, Analytics Plus, automatic distribution to YouTube, up to 50,000 streams a month, customizable Sounder player, support within 24 hours, 4 collaborators, custom domains, programmatic advertising, so you can start making money from your podcast. You can also leverage the power of AI and machine learning with their tools that auto-transcribe your full podcast and then help you generate keywords, which you can use for the title, for SEO in your description, can help you generate subtitles. It's so powerful what you can do with just one subscription of Sounder, which again is only $12.99 a month, which is a steal. But we're going to give you an even better deal because you're a listener of my social life. If you go to sounder.fm/plus and use the promo code Jacob at checkout, you can try Sounder Plus for 3 months free. You get a 3-month free trial if you go to sounder.fm/plus and use the promo code Jacob at checkout. Thank you so much to Sounder for sponsoring today's episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my social life. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by Surf. And this is the podcast where we teach you how to grow on social media by talking to people who have actually done it. People like JT Barnett, who has over 250,000 followers on TikTok. This is his second appearance on the podcast. JT, welcome back to the show.
Dude, I'm stoked. I love doing these, particularly with you. I think you're just a really fun person to talk to, and we always end up going in some cool places. So um, let's do this.
Thank you, man. The first place I want to go to is I just want to touch on everything that's happened since the last time you were on the show. So when you were here last, it was just over a year ago now. So I think you just wrapped up Honey House season 2, and Triple Deke was still like a big part of the focus. So like, what has happened in that time?
Wow, yeah. So, and I was just it's crazy that you just kind of brought that up because yesterday I was just looking back at like when did I start my company that I'm doing now and my content, which is like my educational content. And it was literally like a year ago. It's like the end of February. So just a little bit over a year ago. Um, since then, just gone really hard into doing TikTok strategy for brands. And through that, another avenue opened up, which is this recruiting side. And so, like, just for anybody that didn't listen to the first time that we talked, I started a TikTok house, the first adult TikTok house, kind of like MTV Real World. It went from 0 to a million in 60 days in the house. And then from there, brands started approaching me, asking me if I could do TikTok for them. I, at that time, was also running a hockey company called Triple Deke, which was kind of a mix between Overtime and Uninterrupted, if you know either of those two sports media companies, but particularly for hockey, because that was my like real past. Um, what I found from doing that was the hockey as a culture just is not ready for that kind of a platform. Like the players don't want to market themselves as much. The ownership groups aren't looking for the players to market themselves that much. And so the kind of like the whole sport just wasn't ready for what I was trying to bring into it. Whereas the NBA and the NFL, I believe, are ready for it. And so those two sports have fully adopted the marketing and the like individual player branding and all of that. So that was what I was trying to aim for. Do I think I could have pulled it off if I was going really hard into it over the span of the next like 3 or 4 years? Yes. But at the same time as me doing that, I was getting hit up by all of these brands being like, teach us TikTok. So I was like, all right, let me take on a couple of these and do them simultaneously. So I was doing strategy on TikTok for a couple brands. Then I was doing the Triple Deke thing. And the reciprocation of energy, like what I was getting back from the two individual things was like, I was getting zero back from hockey community because they weren't really into zero back in the sense of like guys were like about it, but at the end of the day, they'd be like, dude, I can't post anything. Like, guys are giving me a hard time, or coaches will, or whatever. But they were like, I love what you're doing. And so I would be like, well, that's amazing. I love the appreciation, but like I want to like actually get things in motion. And so when we couldn't do that, the TikTok stuff was getting like so much attention. Like every brand was coming to me. We got budget. We want to do this. We're interested. We would love this. Da da da. So I'm like, wow, like the energy coming back from that area of my working life is so high that I would probably be smart to put a little bit more into that, and it would just be more enjoyable for me. And so I started going hard into the strategy with brands, literally just teaching them how to do organic content in house with TikTok. So, like, literally meeting with the brand and being like, all right, you're the dude that's in accounting, but you really love TikTok. I can teach you. You're the founder, but you've never made a video before. I can teach you. Not like me filming the content, not like me hiring a production team to go in and film that, like literally teaching the people that are on the team already, because that's what I think works the best long term. So that was what I decided to go into. It really started working. Brands started seeing like a real return on TikTok. So I was like, this is going to be a company that I'm going to build a team around. That's the main thing that I'm doing right now. The second thing that's developed through that, that we were getting a little bit of like brands being like, I want to do this, but I just don't have the time to film. I don't have the time, or I don't have the time to learn it, or I don't have the energy because I'm doing all these other things as like my job within the company. Can you find us somebody that would want to run this for us? And so I started being like, shoot, like I don't know where I would go to find TikTokers that would want to run a brands account. Maybe I could just make a video about it and just like talk like, hey guys, anybody out there want to be a TikTok creator for a brand? And so I made a couple of videos like that. And lo and behold, like those videos created this like 1,500 person list of people that wanted to do this for companies. So that made me be like, oh shit, this is something that a lot of people want to do. Let's turn this into like a separate kind of arm of our company. So it's like we can do the recruiting for you and find you a person. And then if you want, we could also do the strategy with that person who will be running your brand's account. So that's where we're at right now. The recruiting side is called Creator X. The strategy side is called Strategy X. And some companies do both, where we find them a creator, then we do strategy. Some companies will do one or the other, depending on where they're at. And that's where I'm at right now. Like I'm going really hard into both of those, along with making my own educational kind of content on TikTok.
I love that you just put out a video and was like, yo, who wants to do this? And you got so many people inbound. Like, I believe you met my friend Hayden Cashin when he was in LA a couple months or a month or so ago. But he's talked about how like TikTok is like a magic genie where whatever you want, like TikTok will bring it to you. Like he's put out videos for podcast appearances and booked them just off one video. Clients he's got just off one video. Like, have you found that wasn't just like a isolated incident where you asked for one thing and it got in return? Like TikTok is like a magic genie.
Dude, it is like really wild how powerful TikTok is. Like there has not been a platform like this in a long time that is this powerful for $0. Like you could literally spend $0. And this is what happened to me. I spent $0. I made a video. Anybody wanted to, any TikTok creators out there want to make content for brands? 1,500 people sign up in one day. A month later, that's 3,000. 5 months later, that's 5,000. And now it's like this is a whole this my entire business came from me talking about that. A whole separate half of my company that wasn't there before came from just me making videos for free. And that's my own story. I have case study on case study on case study of friends that I've just been like, dude, we sold out of all of our inventory from one video. We broke sales records. We created an email list of 50,000 people from one video. Like it's just really it's stupid how powerful it is. And that's why I go so hard in trying to tell people get on it right now, because it won't be this powerful forever.
And wielding that power and from a social media sense is different than any other social platform before. Like I have a quote here from you that says like Instagram was, oh, I want this, whereas TikTok is, oh, I relate to this. Has that been like a mental hurdle you've had to unlock with the people you consult with on a strategy perspective, that they're so used to like the old social way of doing things that they can't fully grasp how to do it on TikTok?
Yeah. I think a lot of us, I'm 29. I think a lot of us that are in this kind of zillennial, in between millennial and Gen Z kind of area that grew up with MySpace and Facebook being our first two original platforms, and then Instagram being like the one. Like Instagram was like our Like, this is the platform that took the most hold of us for the longest period of time that we really look back at as like our platform. Um, all of us grew up with the conditioning that filtered and better and higher production and highlight reel was going to attribute to more views, more likes, more comments. And so all of us are coming into TikTok now with that idea of, oh, I need to make it very high quality. I need to make it very like unattainable to where it's an aspirational lifestyle. And I need it to be something that like really glorifies like what I'm doing for it to work. And that is so not TikTok. TikTok's the polar opposite. It's like, show me the messy, show me this on a film this on your iPhone, show like really like give me something that I can relate to or that I actually have a chance of accomplishing myself, and then I'll reward you. And so I think that a lot of the work that we do now is really just retraining it's just changing their mindset. Hey, you didn't that worked before and that was amazing, but it just isn't needed anymore. So here's the way that you can look at it now.
So talk to me a little bit more about filming content on the phone, because I know you do that, and like I've talked to Tom Boyd about the fact that you just rip everything off the phone and everything's working for you, and like I've been doing everything off my camera and with my microphone, and like I get some compliments on how good it sounds because I'm using a microphone, but I feel like that using the camera and having to edit it and do all the subtitles and add things popping up on screen, that's like limiting how much I can put out. And so, do you think that I should make that switch from phone? It's something I'm pretty close to doing, but I'm curious to get your perspective on it. Should I make that jump from doing everything nicely produced on the camera and the mic to the iPhone?
The main thing is just being able to create content consistently for a long period of time. So if you feel good with, I can film on a DSLR or red camera, super cinematic, and I'm just so fast at it that I can get out a video, two videos, three videos a day, and it's not hard for me, then do that. For me, it's too hard to do that, which is why I think that it's better for iPhone for me along with a lot of other people. I don't think a lot of people can move that quickly to where they have it in a flow that they can film on a camera, edit and post it. So that's the main reason why I tell people film everything on an iPhone. That the second reason, which I actually do think is somewhat important, is when people are coming across your content on TikTok, they like to feel like it is relatable in the sense that it's like something that they could have done or filmed. Filming on a red camera where it's super cinematic and the lighting's perfect and da 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 da, it just doesn't feel as like you just don't feel that connection to it as much because you're like, oh, there was stuff that went into this. There was a production behind this. So I don't know if like I believe this as much as if it's shot on an iPhone. It's like, oh, this looks real. This looks like it was something that like somebody just happened to capture. And so that is why I also think there's a little bit of like a it prefers the iPhone quality of content. But I've seen people, I stand by that I do think that people should try and film on iPhone. But if you're really good at filming stuff on in a cinematic way, I know people that are incredible at it, and they have different styles of text that pop up, and they have different visual overlays, and they do everything with great lighting and all of that, and their shit crushes. It just depends on you building your brand around that and then sticking to it and being really consistent with it for a long period of time. So that's really what I ask people. Can you do this? Is it feasible for you to jump on a DSLR and chop this up and do that every day? Because that's the output that's needed. And if they say yes, then I'm like, run with it.
And so for you right now, it's all off the iPhone. What's the process for coming up with ideas? Because sometimes, like, speaking of like authenticity, like, oh, I could have filmed this, sometimes I feel like you're literally like in your car, you have an idea, you pull over, you pull the phone out and you record a video. Like, is that how easy it is for you, or like do you have a process of coming up with ideas and scripting them out, or what's that look like?
I feel like now I look at now I have these hooks kind of like in my head pretty easily. So the hook of the video is like the first 3 seconds. It's kind of like the you guys really need to hear this, or like something like this is a really important tip for a lot of you. Like that's kind of like the first little thing that just gets people to like uh, want to watch the rest of the video. So now that I have those kind of like down and I don't have to like come up with those, when I have an idea, I speak it. When I it's something on top of my mind, I go and I say it. My content is now at a point where it is a lot of it is just me rambling. So I do have like a little bit of a format to it. Like Some of them are me just clicking record and setting the camera down and just like running with it. And some of them are me like recording a little bit, pausing, recording a little bit, pausing, recording a little bit, pausing. But there's no real, there's no like, I'm not writing anything out. I'm not scripting anything. If I have an idea that I can't film in the moment, sometimes I'll write it on my list of running ideas. That's just like a idea list that I'll go back to when I have every day I have like in my calendar a little bit of time to film. So if I'm like I get that time and I'm like I got nothing, I'll go to that list and look at it. But a lot of the time, a lot of it is just me just clicking record and just like thinking of a hook. Like I have the idea of like, all right, I want to talk to them about this content style that I've been seeing on TikTok that's really working. Like, all right, the hook for this could be something like, this is something that I've been showing a lot of my friends that I really think you guys could use today. Like, and then I'll go into the whole thing. And so that's really the way that I'm filming it.
So what then like makes, because you said you got these hooks kind of in your head, what makes a good enough hook that you kind of have it in that rotation of hooks you like to reuse?
Anything that is, um, it just needs to pull on their emotions. So like it literally is like any any single sentence that you can say that gets people to just stop for a second and be like maybe I want to watch this will be a hook sentence. I don't have like four that I use. I literally am just like if I was going to try and get the attention of like a buddy of mine, I'd be like, "Bro, you need to hear this. This is crazy." Like dude, I can't remember. I can't believe I just rethought of this that I was thinking about so long ago. Or like, I got to tell you about what happened to me the other day. Like, those are like things that like you say that to like a buddy, and they're like, "Oh, tell me." That's what you want to happen with the audience. And so I just am like in the moment, just like, okay, how can I phrase this that will just get their attention a little bit and like kind of flows into the video. So if it's for creators and it's like the audience I'm trying to get it to reach is like people that are making content, then I'll do something that's like, if you're a creator out there, this is gonna blow your mind. And then it's like, all right, maybe they'll watch that. There's no like perfect one. There's not one that I'm like, this works all the time. It's just kind of like something that's like, what is a little bit emotional, a little bit catchy that just kind of like pulls people in to watch the rest of it.
And so once you've pulled them in to watch the rest of it, how do you make sure they stick through it? Like I was talking to Tom Boyd recently. He was saying like he's seen people put like almost like a second hook in the middle. Like what do you do to kind of get people to watch the whole way through? Because from my understanding, watch time and watch percentage are huge metrics for TikTok. So how do you make sure you're kind of hitting those?
I think that if you, so there's all these kind of like little tips, there's all these kind of like little hacks. I think the biggest hack of all is you just being fully authentic to yourself and it coming off as natural as possible. And so what I try to look at is like, how would I say this to a single person that's on the other side of it if it was just me just like chopping it up with just them? And so after I say the hook, I typically am not trying to think of anything else other than just like how would I like naturally say this? And you'll see some of my videos, I have like pauses or I'll screw up a word or I'll have like a moment where I'll be like I'll lose my train of thought and I just leave it because I'm like, oh, if they can feel the vibe of me, like this is like coming like friend to friend, then they'll watch the rest of it. Whereas other ones, if I'm like really trying to make sure I hammer on, okay, there can't be any gap in my speaking, and and I need to be only 2 seconds on this and 2 seconds on that. Sometimes I lose the cadence of like me being me, and so that's the way that I think about it. Do it as authentic to yourself as you can, first and foremost, and then look at all of those little kind of like hack things after.
That's interesting because I feel like I'm almost like the reverse now, where I feel like I can't have like a 0.2 second gap in my speech that I have to cut out, so it's always jumping and cutting. And it's interesting that that works for you.
If the
That you can
content
just
is
kind of
valuable enough, if the substance that you're talking about is valuable enough, no matter how you articulate it, people will watch the whole thing. And so if it's something that is really impactful and it is something that the audience really needs to hear and they can feel that, no matter how you deliver it, it's going to work. And that's what I think people should focus on is like really focus on like if it's something that changed your life, like tell that story of how it changed your life. Don't worry about I need to tell this in 2 seconds and it needs to be there can't be any gaps for breathing. Like tell that exactly how it comes out for you and that'll be good because they'll be able to feel that. That's the way that I would look at it.
So how can you tell when something is valuable enough to share? Like one of those filters you just said is like, did this change your life? Was it life changing? But I'm assuming the average person isn't having life changing information or experiences every day. So like, what are some of those other filters you kind of apply when you have an idea, whether it's good enough to film and post it?
Before I post any of my content, I just think about, is this something that one of these people in my audience really needs to hear? And then if that is a yes for me, then I think of all of them as being potentially life changing. Cause like the talking like you're talking to a single person, that kind of a tip could be life changing for one person. And using hashtags to geolocate different audiences could be life changing to a different person. So I just think about like, all right, like, is this something that like really might impact somebody? And then I'm like, cool, I'm making it for that person then. Yo, you need to try changing your hashtags up to your location because you can target people that are in that location. And like one person that sees that video might be like, fuck, like this is like a game changer for me. And so that's what I kind of think about is like, all right, is this going to really impact one person? Cool. That's who this video is for.
So with that in mind, then, so like you're creating niche content within the niche you already have. So I'm assuming the view counts are kind of fluctuating up and down, right? Quite a bit.
I make all of my content for creators or businesses that are trying to act more like creators. And so under that umbrella, and a little bit of like me and my own like personal life and that kind of thing, but like anything under that umbrella like is in my niche, it is in my audience. So there's no like, I don't go into any video being like, oh, this is gonna be a banger and this one isn't. I'm like every one of them, I want every one of them to fucking be a banger. I think that some of them might work a little bit more because they're a little bit more like I can feel when I'm going into a video, like, oh, this is going to be one that a lot of people are going to really like because I'm talking about you could make $100,000 making content. I'm like, that's something that a lot of people are going to probably like. It's easy. That's an easier one for them to engage with. But I look at every single one of them, whether it's the small individual tips or whether it's like the crazy revelations, as it being something like this is really going to impact them, and I'm going to treat it the same way.
Do you have a formal review process then for when you do post that content? Like you will have some that are bangers that do go off and some that won't be as perform as well as you probably expect them to. So do you have like monthly periods or something where you take time and go back everything you've posted and see why did this work? Why didn't this work?
I go back and look, and this is how I look at analytics. I go back and will look through kind of like the average view count over after it's been posted like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'll go back and look at it and look at like just the like 9 videos within that time frame of like, all right, how are they doing? Is it measuring up with my consistent average before that and now? Like, how is it doing with that? I'll click on some of the videos and look at the comments and see like, is that in the same kind of ballpark that it's been in before? Is it trending in the right direction? I'll look at if there's a couple of the videos that like really popped during that span of time. I'll look at those videos and see if there's any consistencies with other videos that have popped to be like, oh, when I talk about like the money that creators can make, like those videos work. Or, oh, when I talk about like UGC, those ones work. I'll look at consistencies, but I do not go into the analytics, the actual analytics tool ever. I don't go and look at the analytics and see like, oh, I grew X amount over this time, or go and look at the videos and be like, this is why people watch this amount. I don't look at any of that. I just go off of I really try to go off of like if I feel it, if I feel connected to myself in the video that I'm putting out and I really feel like it's going to be impactful, it's going to work. It might not work in that exact video, but it's going to keep working. And so that's what I go off of. I try to like look at and see if the things are somewhat consistent, but everybody's everybody's playing into the same algorithm that I don't control. So if I look at it and I'm like, oh, my videos are dipping and they're the same kind of videos that I was putting out before, that's not on me and the content that I'm making. That's on the fact that the fucking algorithm is just switching up for a little bit. I can't change that. So I go like, all right, things are changing with the algorithm. And my videos aren't performing the same way that they did a month ago. And they're the same style of videos. Let's change the videos up. Let's switch things up and try something out that's a little bit different. That's how I view my like reiteration process of looking back at like the analytics and that kind of thing, not based off of, oh, this video got this amount of views and this one didn't, so this one is wrong.
That's interesting because I feel like a lot of people, I like how simple you make it sound with the algorithm changing. Because I feel like a lot of people, they make the algorithm as like the big excuse and it's the big thing that gets in their way. And you kind of simplified it, made it like such a minor thing. Is that something you've noticed that's tripped up a lot of the people you've worked with? Is the the excuse that is the algorithm, whatever that might mean?
Everybody's dealing with the same fucking algorithm. Every single person is playing into the same thing that they don't control, that they're not in charge of, that they don't get to make the decisions on what works and what doesn't. And so one week your vlog style content might work, and the next week that exact same video doesn't work. One week you speaking into the camera might work, the next week it doesn't. So if you're doing everything just to try and appeal to the algorithm, you're gonna just get lost. For me, what I try to do is I think about the audience and the consumer on the other side of it. And as long as I'm making videos that I actually think that that person will enjoy, I'm going to win for, I'm going to consistently get where I want to get forever. It might not be the same amount of views all the time, but I know that really I'm playing for the person on the other side of that screen. That's the person that's making those decisions. So if I get them to care about it, it will eventually get back in the good graces of the algorithm. And that's kind of how I keep myself in line.
And with that person on the other side of the screen, the person that's watching your video, how do you maintain like a relationship with them and kind of develop a community? You know, because I feel like there's a big difference between a following and a community. Like a following is just the number on the screen. The community is the actual connection you have to the people that make up that following number. And you see it all the time. TikTok's like 2 million followers. They get like 8 comments. Like, how do you foster a community with the people that follow you on TikTok?
I think you have to really to I think to build a community, you have to really genuinely care about the people within it. And so like I really care about the people that are in my community, like the people that are texting, the people that are commenting. Like a lot of them are actual friends of mine in real life that I've met through what I'm doing now that I actually want to help. And so I like jumping in those comments and saying hi to people and giving them advice and like hearing what they're saying because I feel like that is like a community that I feel like I want in real life as well. The same way that I have people that I go and work out with and hang out with and all of that, I want that same aspect with the people that are following me on all of my socials. And so that's why I don't try and monetize my stuff too much. That's why I try and give out a lot for free. That's why I try and like genuinely connect with the people in the audience because I want to I genuinely want to help them and I think that that's how you actually build a community, not by doing it with the intention of, oh, if I have that audience, then I can sell things to. So I just think it comes with intention. I think anybody that you are trying to, anybody in your life right now that you really feel like you care about, you go the distance to try and make sure that they feel that. And so that's what I try to do with the people that follow me and that engage with the stuff that I'm up to.
So, I mean, I know you have your business in the background that's running, but for someone who doesn't have a business and TikTok's like the primary source of income, how do you balance obviously not trying to push stuff on your audience all the time, but also trying to make TikTok and creating your business and your lifestyles? Like, how do you balance those two things of not always trying to push product on them and monetize off them, but also needing to make rent at the end of the month and pay for food?
Don't start a TikTok account with the goal of it being something that's going to cash out and allow you to retire. If you're trying to start it to build yourself a community, they don't go hand in hand. Like you're trying to start a community that needs to be value first and needs to be like you giving out good with no expectation in return. That doesn't work if you're starting a TikTok account to monetize it to cash out and bounce. So that's why one that's why it's hard to build a community, and two that's why the people that are in it with the intentions of monetization never have it or never are around for the long period of time because they don't end up building a community. As soon as you start monetizing, your audience inherently goes, like what's going on here, you know? Yes, you can do monetizing in a way where it is very value driven as well. And that's when it's done the most effectively. And that's what I think the best people do is they really are giving their community things that they actually want. And that's their way to monetize it. But if you're doing it purely from the goal of, oh, bro, like I want to do brand deals so that this becomes my full time thing and I could quit doing the other things and I also want a community that I really care for and that really cares for me, you got to really play that line fine. Like you got to really look at that and be like, how do I do this in a way that is really value first and not sales first and not cash out first, because people's bullshit radars are higher than they've ever been before. And that they get a sense of that. And it's like, I'm out. And so that's what I would say.
Is part of the reason that people's bullshit meters are so high right now because TikTok is so authentic that it's so much easier to tell when someone's not being authentic now?
People's bullshit radars are really high right now because they've been sold to on social media for the last 8 years. Like, before Instagram, there was minimal in your face selling. Yeah, Facebook obviously had a little bit of it, but even when we were on Facebook, it wasn't as intense. Instagram was really the first one that was like influencer product, you know? And so now we're 8, 9 years into that where people are like, dude, like they're getting paid for this, holding a gummy with that does something to their hair. Like I've seen this too many times now. And so I think that people are like, so there's that. And then TikTok comes along, which is the polar opposite. It's raw, it's relatable, it's no production, it's no filtered, it's underproduced. And it's for the first 2 years of TikTok, there's no selling on it. There's literally just pure value, pure entertainment, pure authenticity. And so everybody's conditioned on TikTok to be like, they see anything salesy, get that off this platform. And so it doesn't work on TikTok. And so if you are going to sell, it's done a different way on TikTok where it's literally the video needs to come first, where it needs to be a video that people want to watch. And then they integrate the product or the sale or whatever. And that's how it's done, because the bullshit rater on TikTok is higher than anywhere else by far. And now people have seen what happened, seen on TikTok, and they're like, I love that, where there's less sales and less. And so now they're taking that mindset back to Instagram and all these other things. And they're just like, I'm over these other platforms that are so salesy. I want what TikTok has provided me, where it's authentic first and videos I want to watch first and sales last. And so now that's the mindset that is just shifting into everywhere.
What do you think of all the TikTokization of all these other platforms that are trying to now become like TikTok?
I think it's a smart business move for some of them to adopt different features that are like TikTok if they're a dying platform already. At the same token, I think if your platform is on its way out, TikTok coming around didn't do anything other than show the audience how your platform was already on its way out, you know? And so like I just think that you can recreate things, you can copy, you can kind of mimic, but like the core reason for people being on your platform, if that isn't working anymore, then I think it's a challenge for you, a serious challenge for you as a company. And so I think like it makes sense that all of these other brands or all of these other platforms are trying to replicate what TikTok has. It's kind of the Fortnite model in video games, that Fortnite came out and was like, everybody's like, we love this. And then it's like, all right, Call of Duty, let's introduce this. Like, so and so, let's introduce this. So it makes sense. Some of those will work, and I think a lot of them that try to adopt it, and the audience is like, "This wasn't needed, and this wasn't why I was on your platform in the first place," are kind of like it just speeds up the process of them being less relevant.
So I think it's a given that if you're starting to create content in 2022, TikTok should be where you start. But once you start to kind of get some traction there, and this is I'm very curious to hear your answer because you're kind of in this position now. What are your thoughts around how you, once you have this TikTok audience, to diversify where your following is? So in this example, it's like you built up a TikTok audience and now you're trying to make the jump over to YouTube where it's a little bit different. Yes, they have shorts, but also YouTube is a long form platform. So like, and I know you're thinking about, or you might be in the process of making that jump to YouTube. So like, how are you thinking about going about doing that right now?
TikTok is the best platform in the world to push your audience to other places. There's nothing that comes close to it organically. So however you're creating your content, if you do it in an authentic way that fits nicely into your videos, you can push them wherever you want. So that is the way that I would go about it. I would, like, when I launch my YouTube channel, I will start making the call to actions at the end of my video in a very like subtle way, not like a go subscribe right now. Da, 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 da. It'll be like, guys, like I started a YouTube channel. If there's anything that you guys want to see in longer depth, that I dive deeper into these topics, check it out. That's the subtle way that I would do it. And I'll do it sometimes at the end of a video. I'll start doing it at the beginning of a video. The beginning of some of my videos will start to be, this is a really important tip for you guys that I have to tell you in this moment. And then the next clip would be, oh, and by the way, if for some reason this appeals to you, I just started my YouTube channel. Would love for you guys to check that out. And then I'll go into the video. So you can push people wherever you want if you do it in a way that fits within the culture of TikTok. And so that's what I would start doing for anybody that wants to push them to Instagram, Twitter, whatever.
I think an interesting thing that you could even do there is when you're giving a tip, you could almost, instead of just doing a straight push like, oh, check out my YouTube, you could be like, you could ask for what do they want you to go deeper on for your YouTube. So it lets them know that it's there and it gets them to participate in it. So now they're commenting ideas. Now you know what your audience is looking for that you can go deeper on, and they know your channel exists now to go check it out.
That's a great idea. It's the same thing as asking if your friend's interested. And that means when you have like a new product that you're launching, or you're trying to work with somebody, or you have a new service, like you hitting up a friend of yours and saying, "Are you interested?" is a lot more in your face than saying, "Hey, I just launched this product. Do you happen to know anybody that would be interested?" That includes them, and it also gets them to think about other people. And it's done in a less like forceful way. So they could be like, "Oh, I might have friends that are interested," or they might be like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested." It's the exact same thing that you were just saying. Like, do it in a way that adds value to them, that isn't salesy, that isn't forced, and it'll work.
Let's take a bit of a jump here, but what do people get wrong about TikTok?
I don't even really hear people talking about it being a dancing app anymore. I think that that kind of like stereotype is done. What I think people get wrong about TikTok would be that if you don't blow up in the first month, you're doing things wrong. That would be the first thing. That influencers on TikTok as your own content, like reposting things that influencers send you or creators send you, works. That is completely wrong. That does not work at all. Um, I mean, in a business sense, like thinking that it needs to be directly ROI positive for the investment that you're making on TikTok, uh, to me is just like such a, it's just not smart. Because TikTok is the kind of platform that doesn't work for 3 months. And then the day that it does work, you sell out of not just, you don't just sell out of like a handful of things, you sell out of every single item that you have in your store. Then it makes up for all of the months that you've spent and more in a single day. And so I think that brands are really sleep. I think everybody is really sleeping on it still. And now I've been talking about this for a year. I feel like Gary Vee. I'm like, Jesus, this dude talks about things that take people like 6 years. And he's like, 6 years later, I've been telling you guys for 6 years. I'm like, dude, it's been a year since I've been saying the same things. And the same exact things that I was saying a year ago are still true today. Start posting today, post a couple times a day, go really hard into it, start a series, do it all organically. You don't need to spend a dollar. Just talk into the camera, tell your story, and it will really change the course of your business or your career or whatever that is. That is still 100% true today. And so I think it's just like it's still just so the time for people to dive into it.
I think that's good to know that it's still the time, because I feel like for a lot of people, they feel like the moment's passed already.
Bro, there are people that are still starting Instagram accounts today. There are companies right now that are starting Instagram accounts today and thinking that an Instagram strategy is important to them. The amount of time that we have before TikTok has even reached the mass of people that it's going to reach, like it is day one of 500,000 for TikTok. Like it is not even beginning to reach the tip of where it's going to be over the next 8 years. And so anybody that is starting right now, you are still early. You are still like, there literally are people right now that are like, Instagram is important for us. We got to get on Instagram. Like, that's 8 years ago. So there is, you can start today. You can start you can start at the beginning of 2023 and you still have time to grow on TikTok. Things take longer than people think. And so it is absolutely still the right time to start right now.
It takes longer than people think, one, for like TikTok to reach maturity, but also sometimes it could take longer than you think to blow up on TikTok. Like you said, if you're 3 months in, you haven't gone viral yet, you're not doing it wrong. I even think there's pressure for that people put on that first video now, because there's everyone says that the first video gets a little extra push, so that because they want you to get hooked. So if your first video doesn't explode, like now you're already disappointed after one video. What would you say to someone right now who's kind of, I don't know if down in the dumps is the right way, but like who isn't getting a lot of views right now? Like, what would your advice be to that person?
Yeah. So when people aren't getting a lot of views, I always am like, just switch things up. Like, there's kind of like two phases that you go through on TikTok. It's like the testing phase and then like the real executing phase. And you're like either in one of those phases for me. So what I try to do is look at it like, all right, for the first like month, you're posting 3 times a day. That's 90 pieces of content. And you're just trying a bunch of different things. Like you're trying like vlogs, you're trying trends, you're trying green screen, you're trying storytelling, you're trying like all these different things. After that month, ideally, if you've done 90 pieces of content and really tried on them, you'll be able to go back and look through at like some things that have worked and some things that haven't. If absolutely nothing has worked, you keep going into that testing phase. You keep trying 3 times a day and you switch up the things that you're doing. Like, all right, I'm no longer going to do trends. I'm going to start doing, like voiceover stuff. I'm going to start doing like different type of effect, like whatever it is. You're just in that testing phase until you get some traction and you see like, all right, a couple of these common videos are working. Then go really hard into those videos that are working and just try and execute on them. Refine it a little bit, pull out those other styles of content and go really hard into that. If that's like a storytelling component, like, all right, every single day I'm going to do one or two of these storytelling ones. If that works, like say that goes for 3 months where it's working, like you just stay in that period and you can add like a couple different things if you want to, but if things are working, go really hard into things that are working until for some reason they take a dip again and they stop. And then you move back into that testing period. And it's like, all right, try out a bunch of shit again. So for people that aren't getting any views, I look at it as like, you're still just in a testing period. Like, don't stick with that same thing. If you've done 90 videos around the same style and same topic and that kind of thing, and it hasn't worked, to me, that is not you just need more time with it. That is okay, this style isn't working with that audience. Pull that one, add another one, and switch it up and just keep trying new things until something clicks.
How far, when something does click, how far down the rabbit hole do you go with that one, like that series that's working? Like I've talked to people who come on here and basically let's like bleed it till it's dry, like just run with that series until it stops working. But I've also talked to people who say you want to take about 75% of the way there and then switch it up. Like how far down that rabbit hole do you go once you find something that is working?
When you find something that is really, really hitting for you, I take it as far as it can go until two things happen. One, I get completely burned out from doing that same thing. And I'm like, I need to switch this up because I can't make another video like this. Or two, the views or engagement or intrigue from the audience dips so much that I'm like, this is no longer beneficial for me to keep doing it the same way. So I would say, like, keep going with that. If it's working, keep going with it. If one of those two things happens, then go back to a testing phase and trying out a bunch of different stuff or integrating other styles that make you feel different.
And the answer to this question might just be with the testing phase and stuff, but how do you get better as a TikTok? I'm curious, especially because with your background in hockey, like intentional practice is a very real thing. If you want to get better at taking wrist shots, you take a lot more wrist shots. But I'm assuming you're not sitting at home like practicing your hook over and over and over and over again to become a better TikToker. So like, how do you take your background with hockey and intentional practice and marry that into this new world, this new creative world? Not new for you, because I know hockey was always like your side hustle, but like, how do you marry that into the creative world?
Content 100% is a practice. I, at the beginning of starting this account, would write lists of different hooks. I would literally make a list of 40 or 50 different hooks. Here's what you need to hear 10 things that you didn't know about the crazy story of X. Like, I would just write them out and then I would go and try filming them and see how I felt with saying them. Like, all right, I'm going to try one where I say it with this hook. I'm going to try one where I say it with this hook. I'm going to try a style where I stand up and it's my full body and I'm looking into the camera and I'm speaking into the camera or I'm holding a microphone. Like, if you scroll back on my content, you'll see I'm trying all different kinds of shit. Talking into the camera with the mic, no mic, holding it like this. Like, it is a practice. It is a practice the same way, like you just said, a practice the same way that you shooting a different type of shot in sports, like content is that same thing. I go through ruts where I'm like, I'm not feeling this style right now. And I'll scroll on the For You page to see other people's styles that they're doing. And I'll look at something and I'll be like, oh, shoot, like I really like the way that he just did this or transitioned his video from this to this. Or, oh, he's filming all of his clips and then voiceovering, but some of them don't have a voiceover and he's actually talking. That's a cool thing that I'm going to add. So it is absolutely a practice that you are always reiterating and you are always trying to get better at the same way that you craft anything.
Who are some of those creators that come to mind that are doing really cool shit on TikTok right now?
The dude that I really like right now, two dudes that I really like right now. I really obviously like Tom Boyd. He's a legend and he's one of the most underrated creators and storytellers and just like strategists, smart dudes that I know. Tom Boyd is one. The second dude that I really like is Tim Chiusano. He does vlogs out. He's like the dude that I'm saying. He's a dude that I had never seen his content before. I'm going through a period of my content where I'm like, I just kind of want to try and add some other stuff in that is not me just talking to the camera all the time. Cause I feel like people know me as this strategy dude that just like talks about ideas, but I would like to incorporate a little bit more of my lifestyle and like what I'm doing in a day. And I'm scrolling and I see Tim doing these vlogs where it's a day in his life. All he's doing is filming clips and then he's voiceovering it at the end of the day with captions and he's doing it every single day. Saturday, April 22nd, da da da, and he's like doing it that way. So I saw the way that he was doing his. I looked at that. I was like, that's really intriguing. Like I would love to try something like that. So I went and I filmed the next day of my day, quick clips, and then I voice over it at the end of the day and was like, "Hey guys, my name is JT. I'm a creator. Here's a day in my life." So I like both of those two people a lot. I'm always scrolling looking for new ideas and concepts. It's harder to find, I would say, creators that you really enjoy all of their content consistently. Like Tim is one that I'm like, oh, that really affected me. Like I came across him and I was like, this dude is somebody that I really enjoy. That hasn't happened that often for me, as much as like a one-off video sparks my interest, and I'm like, oh, this is like a single video that they made that was like really intriguing for me that I really liked.
What is taking another jump here? What is the 80% of thing or sorry, the 20% of your work on TikTok that's leading to 80% of your results? Like, is there a 20% of videos that's leading to 80% of the results? Like, just trying to like narrow in those key things people should be focusing on when they're creating their content.
Before testing out all, it's too hard to go narrow. So now that I know that the videos that really work for me are me talking to the camera and rambling, that is obviously majority of my content. The the vlog style of stuff is a little bit left field for me, but is also adding a whole nother element to my content that people haven't seen before that adds a net positive for me, even if a lot of them don't get the same amount of traction. So I would say like for me, like the majority of my work is me thinking of what will help up and coming creators and business people with whatever they're working on. And that's what I need to be talking about. And that is the majority of the stuff that's helping me.
So to kind of like boil that down to like a one word, like that 20% that's leading to the 80% results is like the idea. Like that's one of the biggest things you kind of focus on.
The 20% is awareness. It's the awareness of who is my consumer and who am I. I am the dude that is giving creators ideas that help their business. So I need to sharpen my tools around those things, and they need to, so that I can help them with the things that they need to get to the places they were trying to go.
And how do you develop? This is probably a question that there's no real answer for, but how do you develop that awareness?
That is a really good question, and the answer to that for me would be by sitting with yourself and having conversations of what do I want to be known for? What am I really intrigued into right now? What do I feel like I just naturally gravitate to having conversations towards, or what do I feel compelled to speak about? Or who do I really like that's doing these kind of things? Like if somebody follows me and sees my content, like, and they get inspired and they're like, I want to start talking about creator stuff. Like that's another way to like find that kind of awareness of what you want. But it is absolutely spending time with you and asking yourself questions about who am I and what do I want. And that's exactly how I got to where I'm at. I was like, you know what? I like Honey House. I like what we're doing with this TikTok house. Like, I want to be the fucking dude that's going to be giving strategy for people. I want to be the guy that is able to speak on different content and things that are happening in the business world around that. Like, that is what I want to do. So, what do I have to do to get there? I need to learn this. I need to speak about it. I need to put things out there. Everybody needs to do the same thing, whether that's art, music, politics, baking, whatever. You need to sit with yourself and be like, what do I want?
With that in mind, wanting to be the guy who's doing the strategy and all these things, the long term goal for you, though, still, correct me if I'm wrong, though, still remains to be the creator, right?
My long-term goal still remains to be a creator. Yeah, I want to be the creator that is talking about business and entrepreneurship and personal development within that, and that is showing people how to do cool shit as a good person through the medium of different styles of content. Like right now, it's like TikTok is my thing. When Apple comes out with augmented reality glasses, you can fucking bet that I will be in your living room on your couch with a hologram of me like in your face, like make a video, that kind of thing. So I want to be a creator that documents and showcases my life of me trying to be the best that I can be with the things that I'm doing, along with giving you the tips and ideas and ways that you can try and do that on your own.
I mentioned earlier how you always thought like people always say like you were a hockey player with like this artistic side hustle, but you say you always kind of viewed it as this artist with a hockey side hustle. Um, so I'm curious now, like, how does it feel for you to be in a place where the artistic endeavors, the creativity, that is the main thing for you now? Like, how often do you sit back and kind of think about that? That's kind of where you always wanted to be and you're here now.
It feels fucking great. It feels incredible. It feels like, oh wow, like damn, I went through some hard times thinking that hockey was my real thing, and at a time, and it was like a thing for me. It just wasn't the thing for me, and I think that like the thing for me is just being a good dude who loves people and just like wants to enjoy life. But the real like if I look at my real skill sets of like what was I gifted with that I feel like I actually can really empower other people or help other people to the most, I don't think that that was me being on the ice playing. I think that I was really good at hockey because was I was good enough to get by on the ice and was personal enough in the locker rooms and all of that that I was a good team player that was valuable on teams. But even in thinking about me with all of my hockey stuff, the creative stuff that I was doing outside of me playing was the stuff that people were like, "Oh shit, dude, like you're talented at this." I didn't have a lot of people I was playing coming up to me and being like, "You are an incredible player." Like maybe lower level guys did, but like I didn't have NHL scouts coming up to me and being like, "You are a phenomenal talent. You are incredible at this." And da da da. I legitimately had people coming up to me and saying, "Wow, you're an incredible music producer, artist, graphic designer, like at making clothes and different things." I didn't look at it as like a business at that time. I was just like, "Yeah, thanks, bro. This is cool." And now, like being done with hockey and it being like a business thing that people are like, "Wow, those skills that you're using now are actually like beneficial with business." It's amazing for me because I'm like, this is so cool that I get to do something that I love that I feel like I'm naturally gifted at and like people are finding valuable. So it feels good. I feel like for anybody that is in that kind of a place that is like, I feel like I'm I feel like I'm doing something that I love, but it doesn't feel like the thing. Like it might not be the thing for you, and that's okay. And like that is okay. And you'll get to where you're supposed to be going at the right time. And like where you're at right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. But just know that like that time will come for you. Like however it's supposed to land, that time will come for you. And so yeah, it feels good.
And I'm sure another part you mentioned how like with growing up in hockey and stuff, like it's also the environment. Like you're around NHL guys your whole life growing up. So it's also part of it. And where I'm going with this is now being in LA, how is it impacting you as a creator being in such a creative city?
Being out in LA has absolutely impacted me for the better and changed the trajectory of where I'm at. Like the amount of the amount of people that I am doing business with now that I have just ran into at a coffee shop or like through friends or is for sure would not have happened if I was not in Los Angeles. And so, dude, I've had the most amazing experience in LA. Before I moved to LA, everybody's like, "You're moving to Los Angeles? Like, you're gonna be in Hollywood? Like, people are terrible out there. They don't care about one another. It's cutthroat." Da da da. I've had zero of that. It has 100% proven to me that you are the experience you have is who you choose to place your time with and your energy with. And for me, I don't have people around me that are cutthroat, that are like trying to cut each other down and get ahead and that kind of thing. And so my experience has been amazing. I have friends and family and all that kind of thing that have had experiences in Los Angeles where it was polar opposite. For me, I'm like, that's on you for choosing the people that you're spending your time with. I also went to Russia. I had an amazing experience in Russia. You know, it's who you choose to have it's who you choose to be around and the experience that you choose to have. And so I think like LA for me has been so beneficial in a working capacity. It's been so beneficial in a personal growth capacity. It's been so beneficial in like a friends and family capacity. And so yeah, it really, really has been amazing to be here.
That's awesome. You got to live in the California paradise. You're in a Russian paradise for a little while. Um, but I'm curious, like, what would you say? Like, you used to be in a band with your brothers growing up, weren't you?
I was never in an official band, but yeah, me and my brother had guitar and drum sets that we played and would sing and like do music and all that at the same time.
What would you tell to that JT?
You fucking got it, bro. If I literally all of the younger versions of myself, any of them, if I was seeing them, I'd be like, dude, the one thing you to know is just you fucking got it. Like you know what you need. You know where you're gonna be. You know, like you're in tune with yourself. You're a good person. You're doing things like to the best of your ability. Like you fucking know it, and just go blinders on and don't listen to anybody else. Listen with one ear open and one ear shut in the sense of, yeah, like, you know, you have to listen to your dad because he's your dad and like you love him and like that kind of thing. But at the same token, your dad is not you and your dad does not know you the way that you know yourself. So if you genuinely feel like you know you, follow that. And for me, it was like, I don't look back and regret anything. I don't look back and be like, ah, I should have quit hockey and gone all in on music. I should have quit hockey and been gone in on acting or whatever. I don't look at that and change. I wouldn't change a single thing, but I would tell myself that all of that is going to land me to a place that I knew I was going to get to. And so I would just be like, you know, like you're doing great. Like you're going on the exact path that you're supposed to be on, and just like trust yourself and just like really trust yourself and just don't worry about the people and the outside noises and all of that. Just follow you. And that's exactly what I would say to any other younger kid too. Like you get quiet with yourself, spend that time with yourself to like really get in touch with like what makes you tick and like what pulls you up and just follow that.
Before I ask my last question, I'm going to read this quote here. And I read this at the end of our last podcast. And this is from an Instagram caption that you posted on July 5th, 2017. And the caption is simple, but it is just here to change the world. And I think you've done that. And I think you're going to continue to do that. And so I just wanted to read that. And I think every
Good.
time we do one of these, I'm going to read that again,
I
just
love
because I
that.
think you're going to continue doing that. But,
Thank you.
um, oh, no worries, man. My last question. I like to flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. Pretend you have a crystal ball. You can ask this crystal ball any question. You'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
I don't know, man. That's a really tough one. One question that I really want to know, um, um, how many more years should I be purely focusing on TikTok until I should open my eyes to the next thing that is coming along? Because I really do feel like the next thing for me won't be Instagram coming back. It won't be Snapchat. It won't be anything like that. It'll be an update to the hardware that'll be like, okay, virtual reality glasses are here, and now social can turn into 3D where you can be in the room with somebody. And I don't think virtual reality will be soon. I think it'll be augmented reality where it'll be like overlaid on top of where you're at. But I do think that that will be some like real big shifts in just the way people do things. Same with like, all of this NFT and blockchain and blockchain and Web3 kind of stuff is like right now coming so fast, but there hasn't been a moment for me with the Web3 stuff that I've been like, okay, TikTok is only going to have this much of a run rate because X, Y, and Z on Web3 is coming, and that is going to be where everybody's going to go. There's a lot of platforms that I get emails from that are like, hey, check us out. We're going to be the new thing on Web3. I don't feel that way yet. And so I am waiting. I'm I'm keeping my horses at bay until I feel that. And then I'm like, let's go. We're now not only a TikTok company, but we are now a blank. I haven't felt that yet. And so if were one question that I would ask a crystal ball, it'd be kind of like, when do I need to, and not what is it, because I want to find that out on my own. It would be, when do I need to start really keeping my eyes and ears more open to those things? Because I don't feel like it is quite yet. And that would probably give me just like a little bit of a leg up on anybody else that's trying to find that kind of shit. And so that would be the question that I would ask.
I love that. I'm excited to see what happens and where you go when those horses are just released. But I want to give you the floor, man. Where can I know we kind of mentioned it through, but where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything you got right now.
Yeah, everything is JT Barnett, JTBarnett. TikTok is obviously where I spend most of my time with my content, but I'm going really hard on LinkedIn right now. I accept anybody that adds me on LinkedIn. So if you want to add me there, I'm going hard on that. That's just my name, JT Barnett, on there. Instagram, I'm obviously posting a decent amount on, and like I'm active on my stories and stuff on Instagram. That's JT Barnett as well. For the company stuff, if for some reason you're a brand listening to this or you're wanting to be a creator for a brand, creatorx.fun, Fun, creatorx.fun. That's our site that shows all of the brands that we're doing this for right now. You can apply to work for one of those brands through the database on that site. You can apply as a brand on that site. That's like all of the kind of brand stuff. And yeah, I would say send me a message if you listen to this, because I always am trying to connect with the people that listen in and like take anything that I say valuably. So would love to connect with you if you send me a message on any of those.
Awesome, man. Well, make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so people can find it. I want to thank you once again for taking time to come back on the podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Do me a big favor, go and follow JT. Go connect with him on LinkedIn. Like I said, everything will be linked in the show notes down below so you can find it. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by Surf. Thank you once again for listening. We'll talk soon.